Welcome, friends and fans, to another episode of GalaxyCon Live, where we are bringing the convention experience directly to you. And today, we'll be visiting several frontiers of our guest's incredibly diverse career, and now's the time for all of you in our chat room to begin typing in your questions for him. Immediately after this session, you will have the opportunity to talk to him directly through our private chat options, as well as shop our selection of autographs, all of which are available now at GalaxyCon.com. So without further ado, let's beam him up. He is an actor, director, author, and musical artist with over 200 film and television credits that have earned him 2 Emmys and a Golden Globe. His 65th feature film, Senior Moment, is in theaters now and also available on streaming platforms. Please welcome back our friend, Mr. William Shatner.
Good morning, or whatever time it is in your time slot. It's morning here. Where is it for you, Patty?
I'm in Florida, so it's a little after noon right now for me. So, and a good morning to you, Bill.
Well, good morning. Let's wrap it up here. Yeah.
Indeed, and a happy belated birthday, as we have said before. This is GalaxyCon's birthday celebration for you, and 90 trips around the sun. Congratulations.
I know. Got sunburned along the way.
Well, it's good to get a little color. As long as you got the sunscreen, you're good. So, Bill, I haven't spoken to you in several months. How has 2021 been treating you so far?
Well, I'm embarrassed to say that it's really been, I've used the isolation to advantage. I created, along with 2 partners, a new album that I think is going to be great. Love, Death, and Horses, is what I think we're calling it. And it'll be out there in the summertime. The show, The Unexplained, has been renewed for a third year. It's doing so well on the History Channel, 9 o'clock on Friday nights. All kinds of wonderful things are happening, and I'm delighted that I've been able to focus more clearly on things that I'm interested in because of this isolation. So I've used the isolation to be creative, and I don't think I've ever been more creative and had more fun than what I've been doing.
Absolutely outstanding. Well, I'm so glad that Unexplained is getting a third season. That's great, and as always, you remain a tour de force, and you just never stop, do you?
Well, if I stop. What was it? Who was it that said, look behind? If you look behind you, they're catching up. You never know what's behind you when you're my age. You know, is there a guy with a scythe? Takes a swing at you. Not today.
No, not today. Absolutely not. So yeah, Senior Moment just dropped this week. Reunites you with Christopher Lloyd and teams you up with a beautiful Jean Smart. And I was very sorry about her loss in her life with her husband recently.
I heard.
Yeah, and we get to see you in your underwear in the film. So I think all across the board, it looks like a fun project.
Yeah, it was. It's very funny. It's gotten wonderful notices. I mean, we did this in a small town near Los Angeles called Palm Springs, and instead of coming home, it's about a 2-hour drive. Instead of coming home every night, I stayed there and stayed in a hotel room and had room service and I just focused on this movie for 4 weeks. It was like a monk doing absolutely focused and concentrated work. And I think it shows. I'd come home on the weekends, but I stayed up there and focused on this movie to the degree I haven't in a long time. And I think everybody did that. And I think the movie reflects that. It's been called a lovely film. And it's heartwarming, and it's a love story, and it's funny. So I suggest everybody watching this, you should take a look at it. It's really worthwhile.
Well, to back that up, we got the trailer. You want to watch it together?
Yeah.
All right. Let's go ahead and roll it.
Too old for that car, gringo? All right, let's do this. I'm too old for this.
I am hereby revoking your driver's license until you're fit to drive.
Open the door. Open the...
okay?
Just getting a beer. I'm going to take the test next week. Pass it with flying colors. Wow. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Artificial flavors, calcium phosphate. I am starting to salivate.
You don't look like a bus guy to me.
Judge took it away from me.
Get out of here.
I want to show you something. It's a surprise.
Wow.
Get in.
She's a good woman. You ready to settle down?
What's wrong?
You hanging out with Mr. Artiste.
I really can't handle this right now.
This is not about you getting back your license to drive. This is about your license to live.
What are you doing?
I dropped my wallet.
What the hell's wrong with you?
He's with my girlfriend. That's what the hell's wrong with me. I gotta get her back. Well, how are you gonna do that?
Awkward. Awkward. Awkward.
So now you want me and the car?
That's my car! I've been an idiot. Again. One more time.
What color pills are you taking?
I'm taking blue.
It's funny. It's really funny. And, you know, had a lot of freedom to swing, so it was great. That's wild. That's the first time I've seen that, actually.
Really? Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah. It's like I said, great scenes, looks fantastic. And yeah, you're right. It has been getting some really good feedback. I think this is the kind of movie maybe collectively we all could have used right now. Because I think society-wise, where we see the light at the end of the tunnel, we're not quite there yet.
Right.
But I think we all could use a little feel good right now.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully we'll be out of this in a while and go back to something that approaches normality. But, you know, these Galaxy Cons done this way is interesting as well, you know. I have 15 members of my family, and we meet every Sunday. We used to, before COVID. We would meet at a restaurant, and everybody 15 people at a meal. And so there'd be somebody way down at the end of the table. How are you doing? And they continue their conversation. And I'm conversing with whoever I'm at next to me. In the Zoom thing and this thing here, you're in close up all the time. So you can talk to everybody who's, even the person who would normally be at the other end of the table, you're in close up and seeing their expression. So there's a value to this kind of question and answer at the GalaxyCon, where you're right in. I see your face, you see mine. There's an interesting aspect to it.
There certainly is. It's been interesting, and I think conventions will come back, and we're absolutely looking forward to the time to host you again on our physical stages and get you back in front of your fans. But I think we're gonna maybe keep going with this format a little bit too, for everybody's comfortable with it. It's the best of both worlds.
People do about working. There seems to be a swing that way. It'll be interesting to see if people continue to work at home and phone it in, so to speak, or whether they crave the companionship and the knowledge that there are other people around. That'll be a big appeal. So if you're alone in your home like we've been, can you put up with that for the rest of your life, or do you crave even though you're hearing other people's lives go on? Is that part of being human? So
I've certainly realized there are nicer clothes that I've had no reason to wear for the past year and a half.
That's funny. Yeah.
I've had no need to step out. So
yeah, that's an interesting aspect too. Everything is simplified. There's less driving, and you're probably not wearing your pants. You got a t-shirt on, and that's it.
Oh, I've got on shorts for whatever it's worth. I won't show you, but I'll take your word. You take my word for it.
I'll take your word for it.
So, Bill, we got audience questions good to go. You want to go ahead and start up?
Absolutely.
All right. Our first one comes from Chris, and they want to know, what is your favorite form of creativity and expression for yourself?
Well, what's this gentleman's name?
Chris.
Chris, creativity can take place anywhere at any time. No matter what you're dealing with, you should actually, not should, that's a terrible word. I'd like to think that I'm being creative no matter what it is. For example, just before starting this question and answer, Elizabeth brought me some eggs and toast. I wanted to be very much aware of what I was eating. I didn't want to just eat it in anticipation of doing these questions and answers. I wanted to feel each moment. So is the act of feeling each moment and interpreting what's happening to your life, being aware what's happening to your life, is that an artistic thing? I think it is. So there's art and feeling and creativity in every aspect of your life. My dogs, I heard them bark just that. I woke up this morning and I got a hold of both of them and I was hugging them and petting them and just giving them a cue for command, for example, sit, just to establish the relationship again and then hug them. And it was a total creative moment with my pets, with the other aspects of my family, really.
Outstanding. Creativity can be made anywhere. Chris, thank you. That was a wonderful question to start us off with. Hey, what do we have next? From Rosalind.
Oh,
Yes, said, how are your pets and your dogs and your horses?
is that her question?
Yeah,
Well,
she wants.
Seriously?
That's a great. Yeah, she wants to know how your critters are.
Well, I made an awful choice this past couple of weeks. 6 months ago, approximately, we had to put our female Doberman, who was having her estrus. She was bleeding all over. She's turning 3. We had to board her for 3 weeks. So her companion, Macchiato, missed her. I mean, he just went into a sadness. Elizabeth and I missed her. She was in agony being somewhere else. So I decided, and that's the awful decision, to spay her. So we spayed her this past 2 weeks ago. She's now recovered and she's bouncing around, but she will never have puppies. And I deal with that. That's a serious thing to do to another entity, that they will never have puppies. But I wanted her not to have the sadness of being away for 3 weeks every 6 months or so. So that's what I did. So yes, so espresso is great. Macchiato is as well. The whole family is great. I've got a granddaughter in Rome who went there to learn Italian after school, and she's locked up. Rome is, and she has COVID. She now has the disease in a hotel room. So she'll come out of it. But it's also the beginning of an 18-year-old's life of making their own decisions. And that's quite a boundary to go through.
Well, glad your dogs and your grandchildren are well. And Rosalind, we hope you have been well as well. Thank you for your question. What do we have next? From Lissa. What is your favorite episode of The Unexplained?
There are so many. The Unexplained is filled with these mysterious things. How did they happen? So you go to the obvious mysteries. How did this city underground happen? How were these stones moved that we can't even move them today? All those are great mysteries. But there are other strange mysteries that we've uncovered. For example, mummification. The Egyptians did it. A lot of civilizations did it to preserve the body, because that meant they thought that they could preserve the soul. We've gotten the DNA from a 3,000-year-old monk, somebody has, and they've recreated the body somewhat. They've recreated the larynx, and they've pushed air through the larynx, and they've heard this 3,000-year-old monk hum. Does that blow your mind?
Yeah, it does.
So
That's scary and amazing at the same time.
Well, I call it Ooga Booga.
Okay.
There's a lot of Ooga Booga in the Unexplained, and the more Ooga Booga there is, I keep sending articles back to the production company saying, we should try this, we should try that. And every time I find a mysterious, in fact, it'd be great if the audience at large found a mystery that they couldn't understand that had Ooga Booga in it. Send it to us. We'll maybe we can use it. So there are these great mysteries. One of them, Russian students getting lost in the mountains some years ago. They camped out in the Ural Mountains in the snow. They were out there for a holiday, and they weren't heard of again for 3 months when they were discovered strewn around a mile, mutilated bodies. They had cut themselves out of the tent and had run. What were they running from? Why did they not put clothes on? Why were their bodies mutilated? Why did they spread? I mean, the mystery goes on and on. Strange Ooga Booga stuff.
I have a mystery that I'll gladly send in. But Lissa, thank you. Wonderful question. What do we have next? From Teddy, what was the most fun you had in the studio while recording a musical project?
So a friend of mine is it turns out is an incredible poet, lyrics, and a friend of his with whom he had gone to university many years ago, they had started a band. So this guy, his name is Dan Miller. Dan had gone on to have a great musical career. I will be reminded for the liner notes of this album we've been putting together. We have had, the three of us, have had the most creative, fun time of taking stories from my personal experiences. I left home, graduated, did some work in Montreal, left home, headed for Toronto, the New York of Canada. Everything I owned, everything I had was in a tiny wrecked car that I was driving across a bridge. And we call the song The Bridge because as I crossed the bridge in my car, coming at me was an 18-wheeler pushing all that air, and that air almost threw me over the side of the bridge. And if I'd gone over the side of the bridge in a car that had everything I owned, it might as well have been that I shouldn't have been born, but it wasn't that way. And we all go over a bridge with 18-wheelers coming at us all the time. We're always almost there and almost losing it all. And you got to keep fighting your way through. That has become a song called The Bridge. So we've done that, and it is we've been picked up by Universal Records, which is the biggest record company. They've got an option on the second album. I mean, the whole thing has been an extraordinary creative endeavor. That the album will be out there in the middle of the summer, and I know you'll all enjoy it.
Well, absolutely looking forward to it. And Teddy, thank you. Great question for us. What do we have next? And here's from Sally. Are you working on or reading any books currently?
Well, interestingly enough, Sally, excuse me, early morning. I've been asked to be part of a book club in which I will interview the authors and do, an interview of them and the book. So they wanted to know what books I had read recently, and I read a lot. I buy these books electronically, and I just sit down. Sometimes I'll read them in one session or within the week. So a lot of the books I bought had to do with the connection I feel that has been established scientifically of the connection between of all of life. We all are more alike, from the snails, from slime to whatever entity is the highest, the most intelligent, most evolved entity. I'm not sure it's mankind on Earth, but we're all related. And that relationship has been written about a lot. So I read The Secret of Trees, for example. Mm-hmm. Trees communicate. Octopus, The Octopus, My Teacher. A book on horses. A book on underground by a gentleman by the name of McFarlane, everything that goes on underground. There's so much. So we're going to do a series, 3 books related to those subjects of the interconnection of human, of living things that I find extraordinarily interesting. And I'll be able to talk to the authors themselves and find out from them where they got their interest and to hear more about the miracle of our interconnection.
I look forward to this project tremendously because I know you are a voracious reader and absolutely fascinated by these natural sciences and the new breakthroughs. So yeah, Sally, thank you. Great question. What do we have next? From Kathy, is there any place in the world you want to travel? Either you haven't been yet or love to return.
I did a series for a couple of years called Better Late Than Never. And we went all over. I mean, God, we went to a lot of places I wouldn't have gone. The Far East and even the Near East. So it was a lot of traveling. And basically, I hate traveling. I hate the inconvenience of it. I hate walking through airports. I hate sitting down beside a stranger. I hate the strangeness of hotel rooms. I hate being alone. So that I hate all that stuff about traveling. I've traveled a lot with my family, so I hate having to be responsible for everybody. Where is so-and-so? Where's Jay? And you got to keep track, and you're always on an edge of. So traveling is a bit of an anathema to me. But I have also traveled under the aegis of companies, private plane. They take care of the luggage. They got the meal. They have the thing. They book and all I do is kind of walk through and sit down and read and eat and enjoy the conversation. That's the best kind of travel, but it's almost, it's so esoteric that somebody else has to pay for it. And that's only rare. So if you want to take my advice, Kath, get somebody to pay for your travel and do it privately. And bring a half a dozen of your friends. That's the best way to travel.
For the man himself.
Try that, Kathy.
Safe journeys, Kathy, wherever you go. And thank you for that question. Here's one from Annette. What do you enjoy the most about interacting with fans at the Comic-Cons?
Well, I've done interview shows. I'm going to do another one. I'm going to do a podcast, I believe, very soon, in which I will talk to people. And I love talking to people and finding out their story. Now, there isn't really much time at a Comic-Con to delve into an in-depth conversation, but you can get a moment or two between the fans and myself, just a moment. If they're open to revealing themselves, and I'm open to hearing it and identifying with it, it can be great fun. I've had some wonderful moments on stage with people who are asking me questions, and I'll ask them questions about their questions, and all of a sudden there's a moment, and it's like a spark, and then it goes, of course, because I've got to get on to the next person. But that communication frequently can be majestical.
Very much so. Annette, thank you. Great one. And a reminder to our audience, if you would like to chat with our guests like I am now, or purchase an autograph, sign up at galaxycon.com. And let's go ahead and roll another one. From Nick, what was your favorite role to play?
Well, Nick, I don't think that way. That was my favorite, and that's not my favorite. When I try to do my best at everything. When I'm done this Comic-Con, about 3 hours later, I'm going to do a scene with Lucy Lawless in her new series, which is taking place in New Zealand at the moment. So she asked me to be in it, and she's a friend of mine. And I did a documentary on her, and she was very generous with me. So I agreed to do this one scene on Zoom with her, and she playing a policeman, I think, and she asked me questions. So I decided to do that. Now I'm as excited and as trying to do as well as I can on this one scene on Zoom in a few hours than I would do on anything, like I'm trying to do with your questions. So no matter what it is, I'm trying my best, and if I succeed, even approximating my desire for excellence, then that's my favorite. So right now, my answering your question is my favorite thing to do.
Absolutely fair. If I had to take a guess, I think playing the part of dad and granddad is probably a relished role for you too.
I'm telling you, it's. I saw some footage of a couple of my granddaughters who are now older, and when they were 5 and 6, we were talking earlier about tasting every moment. If only I had known that I'd be looking 10 years later at their footage, I would have paid more attention to what they were doing, because they're gambling around in the ocean. I should have been more aware. But it teaches you. The whole of your life teaches you to be more aware. You get so self-involved that it's an act of will to get out of yourself and look at somebody else and try and be there.
Very much so. Nick, thank you. Wonderful question. Well, what's next? From Lane, what was the worst injury you've ever sustained, either on a set or maybe just in general?
Well, I was doing, I guess it was a Star Trek. I was at Paramount on the Western Street, and they had wet the street down. I was on a horse, and I had to bring the horse in. And then ordinarily, when there's a horse fall, you cut the actor, and there he is on a horse, cut, and the horse falls. It's a stunt man. Then they cut again. They come in, and the actor gets up and says, "Oh, wow." I said, "I think I can make this horse fall." So they foolishly agreed, and there's a trick to making the horse fall. So, as I said, they had wet the street down to make it look interesting. I rode in, I did the cue for the horse to fall. The horse falls, and he falls on my leg. And I can't get my leg out because now there's mud, and the horse can't get up, and he's flailing around. I can't get out from under because it's wet and the mud is clinging. Finally, they get the horse off me, and I've broken my leg. But, the horse got off me, but I wanted to continue the scene because I didn't want to do this again. So while what I've learned later was a broken leg, I'm standing on my legs, continuing to play the scene, but now I've gone into shock, and my whole body is shaking. And I'm like, why am I shaking like this? And I've continued the dialogue until cut, and then they found that my leg was broken, and they took me to the hospital to fix it, to set it. That probably was the worst accident I've had I can remember.
And how ironic it involved a horse, which is a creature near and dear to your heart.
Yeah.
Well, Lane, thank you. That took us into an interesting spot. Here's one from Jean. She also shares your love of horses. Can you tell us a little bit about one of your favorites?
Well, a favorite horse, like a favorite child. They're all, you want to hug them, and they pay varying amounts of attention to you depending on their personality. But, and then I've got some young horses, and I've got some older horses, so that the emotions go to the older horses. I've got one named after my grandchild called Natasha. So Natasha's 17 years old. She's a great performer, but she's 17, and she's a reiner. And that's getting to the far end of their ability to rein. Now, some go, a couple of a year or 2 or 3 longer, but Natasha's coming towards the end. So we know and love each other. And I greeted her yesterday, and she kind of nuzzled me. Then there's a young horse that we call Lucille Ball, because her mother is Lucy. She's 2 years old, and she's being broken for the first time. So she's this little, soft, she's not little, she's big, big quarter horse, Arab horse cross, but they're rubbing on her belly and they're putting a strap on her and they got her leading and she's taking it all. She's gorgeous conformation and she's a loving nature and absorbing all this early training, which is so entrancing to see when they rub a horse and they put weights. The next thing probably happening even as we speak, what they do nowadays, and I've never heard of this, is instead of getting on them right away like cowboys would and break a horse, they put, in this case, they're putting tires on where the rider would be on the saddle, so there's a weight.
Yeah.
So she may kick and run. I don't know what she's going to do, but those tires don't hurt her and are just about enough weight. So all that conditioning to make her accustomed to human beings is really an extraordinary bonding experience for the person doing the rubbing and all that. And that's not me, and the horse. But the horse is becoming humanized, become accustomed to humans, seeing that humans won't hurt her in this case. Yeah. And I'm part of that, and it's fabulous.
Fantastic. Gene, thank you. That was a great one. And here's one from Teddy. What was it like working with Christopher Lloyd for this new movie?
Now, Christopher Lloyd plays that guy a lot, but he's not that. He's highly intelligent, very funny, and at times very serious. So, we had a little time together, and I enjoyed every moment. He's a funny, smart, loving person. I enjoyed his company very much. I would look forward very much to doing something with him again.
Absolutely. I got a chance to host him on our forum here a few months ago, and he was absolute gentleman and a fine actor too. Thank you, Teddy. Great question. What do we have next? From Lisa, aka #1 Trek fan. Are you a morning or a night person? When do you do your best creative work?
I've had inspirations recently with the COVID and all, and not forced by necessity to jump out of bed to go to a set or something. Lying there around 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning for an hour, I've gotten some great ideas. Think, wow, yes, of course, and done that. So I am a morning person. As you get older, you tire a bit more rapidly. So I find myself sitting down in front of a television set, but looking at interesting things, documentaries, and how to do things. The books I'm reading are books of like language, a Proto-European language that came from the steppes of Russia, Turkey, and all that. How the English language begat as a result of this original language that came down with the people that were there and settled in Northern Europe, and those languages. The examination of languages is in itself an extraordinary. To be able to tell history by language is fascinating. So I find myself reading during the day and into the evening and going to bed early and waking up early. So I've evolved into being a morning person.
Absolutely fair. Excellent. Lisa, thank you. Pleasure to have you as always. And one, Lawrence, what is the biggest dream that you feel you've fulfilled?
I don't think of things like that. I don't think I dream, boy, what I wish and then go ahead and do it. It's not the way it's worked with me. It's sort of like, oh, that happened, or that's opportunity, or maybe I should do that, or so-and-so suggested. It's like life comes at you and you either reject that or you accept it, depending on what it is. And your life is directed in a way by forces outside of you. Some people think it's mystical, but it may not be. A car is coming at you and hits you, and now you're in the hospital. Your dream is to get better. I mean, life is the life to a large extent, if not all of it. Got to think about that. Is outwardly directed. You can have a dream, but the dream is ephemeral. But what happens to you while you're conscious is what really happens.
Very true. Awesome. Lawrence, thank you. May your projects be fulfilled. What do we have next? From Aaron. Oh, how would you describe yourself?
Curious.
Yeah. I absolutely agree.
And all its ramifications of curiosity, whether it's reading or trying new things. I just did something they're calling story file. So I went and sat down in front of a chair, in front of a camera, in a chair, but about 20 cameras shooting all around me, shooting 3D, so that eventually that image that they were shooting will become a holograph. I was interviewed like we're doing today, only I was more extensive even now with the answers. I wanted to get as much color and thought into the answers. So I spent 5 days talking. They fed that into an artificial intelligence, wherever artificial intelligence exists somewhere in a computer. And eventually they will take those 9 hours a day, 5 days, 45 hours, and manipulate them so that in time there'll be a button that you will press, and then these questions will be answered by my holograph based on the artificial intelligence that's inside the computer, and I won't have to be here at all. It's going to come to a Comic-Con soon. It's going to be in a booth. I'm suggesting a booth, and people go visit the booth, put their money in like you did the pictures, press the button, ask me a question. It's brand new technology. It's right on the edge of technology, of AI and 3D. Fantastic. I'm working with a friend of mine on in e-commerce, various things on the blockchain, which I can barely understand, but I'm part of a symposium coming up, and I've got a couple of businesses dealing with authentication, all just on the edge of my ability to understand. I mean, who understands blockchain really? Who understands what an algorithm is really? The people who write it, I guess they do, but I don't understand what an algorithm is. I can say algorithm. Oh yeah, it's a great algorithm. I don't know what I'm talking about. Do you know? Do you have any idea of like you say, internal combustion engine? Oh yeah, pistons and firing and gas and exhaust, and I basically know the manipulation of an internal combustion engine. Do you know how a logarithm works?
As far as I've been led to understand it, it's a mathematical model based on probabilities that under certain stimuli will elicit this sort of reaction, whether it's with humans or animals.
Patty, the words you've used have absolutely no meaning. It's a mathematical model. What the hell does that mean?
It means
it begets a question of the question.
It's
a cylinder and a piston, and intake and extake is you can understand those things. It's a mathematical model where on the internet. What do you mean? You mean the internet is where does it exist? You have to have a certain set of mind to understand what you're talking about. Okay. So you think you know what an algorithm is?
It's the computers betting on things.
It takes it in, the information, it puts it through a piston, it explodes it, and it comes out an algorithm. I got it. Okay, I understand it now.
Yeah.
These are concepts I don't even know. Look, I've been trying to find out what time space is. What is space-time? What is space-time? Tell me what space-time is. And every known cosmologist, mathematician, well, it's space and it's time and it goes. I said, but time goes on. Time is a heartbeat. Time, boom, boom. That's time. I mean, where does that? And then the photon, which is now a wave, which I don't. You understand that, by the way? When a particle becomes a wave and a wave becomes a particle?
That's a bit beyond my grasp. I'm not astrophysics or beyond.
No, wait a minute. Don't use the word bit, because that's another whole thing. It's beyond your capacity to understand. Is that what you're saying?
No. It's just beyond my immediate scope of knowledge, and I don't want to say anything.
Oh, wait a minute.
Then I'll be destroyed for saying wrong.
Beyond my scope of knowledge. You don't understand how a wave and a particle can become the same thing. Is that correct?
It has not been properly explained to me.
So you don't understand?
I do not know. I can be made to understand if someone.
You don't know that. You might be stumbling through your life wondering what the hell is an algorithm the rest of your life, or why does a particle and a wave exist in a thing like a photon of light? Why is it one time one and one time another? This is physics that nobody understood before.
This is why we need the William Shatner artificial intelligence to explain it to me in the booth at the conventions.
There you go. So there's so much we don't understand. So much. What was the question? I get carried away.
Aaron asked, "How would you describe yourself?" And I think this entire answer has been absolutely perfect.
I've just described myself confused, curiously confused. Yes.
Oh, Aaron, thank you. That was a wonderful question. And GalaxyCon viewers, this has been my time with William Shatner, but it absolutely does not have to be yours. If you'd like to chat with our guests like I have today or purchase an autograph, please sign up at galaxycon.com. And while you're at it, please check out our schedule, upcoming events just like this one. And Bill, before we go, we said at the beginning, allow me to reiterate it now for myself, GalaxyCon, and everyone in our audience. A very happy belated birthday to you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for everything you've done. And if I'm inspired by Star Trek II and Spock's gift to Kirk in the Book of Dickens, opening the phrase, "It was the best of times." It has been the best of times for us to observe you at work.
It was written a long time ago.
Yeah, and I hope it's been the best of times for you. Thank you so much. Many happy returns and the very happiest of birthdays, Bill.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Shall we blow out your candle together?
Ready? One, two, three. Boy, that was really good.
Yeah.
That's the way. That's the way to do a scene in Zoom. I just blew and the candle went out. That's fantastic.
I think we're getting a little closer to understanding space-time, Bill.
Yep.
We've learned a lot today. Bill, any final words for our audience before we go backstage?
Come back.
Bill, as always, it has been an absolute treat. Thank you for joining us on the GalaxyCon virtual stage. Thank you to our audience for joining us. And thank you all for those great questions. Please go out and see Senior Moment in a theater and be safe. And if not, you can see it at home. Until then, bye-bye, everyone. Take care. And please keep washing those hands.